Have you ever wondered who you might become through the act of journaling? Welcome back to another episode of Abundantly Aware. I'm your host, Katie, here yet again with another episode. And I so greatly, deeply appreciate you being here because I know the internet is loud. There are a lot of voices to listen to, and you're taking the time to listen to me today. So I appreciate it. And if you do like this episode, don't forget to hit the subscribe or even just like. If you just like the presence of me right now, you can just hit that like button. Because it works wonders in said algorithms if you like me. Ooh, I'm going to keep that. I'm going to keep that. So today's episode is about the act of journaling and the transformation that I personally experienced in my journey with journaling. I wanted to share it with you, the possibilities, the problems that I feel like you might be experiencing, and the ability that journaling just has to solve. I don't want to say solve, just help in little minuscule ways, large ways. And I honestly thought that transformation of journaling was all talk, all on the internet. People are just flailing their arms and talking about this thing. It's too good to be true, should I say. But I couldn't comprehend in my mind the growth that I experienced and really truly discovering who I was and how it has helped me. Honestly, I've been journaling for 4 years, including this year, but I think this year specifically, January time, was the change, was the full, complete, and utter discombobulation of who I was really truly happened this year. And I want to tell you about it because I think everybody deserves to experience this kind of change and this kind of evolution question. So I feel like more often than not, we don't really truly know who we are without the input of other people. Whether it's your mom telling you how to dress or your best friend convincing you that you love this band, or even just, I'll say it, when I was a kid, when I was in high school, I decided that I liked this band. I decided that I like screamo music because this really cute boy likes screamo music. And so I needed something to talk to him about, so it was going to be screamo music. And now I literally can't stand it. It makes me angry for some reason. And I don't know why. I really don't like it personally. And that's just a personal preference. You can like what you like. I don't like screamo, but I found that I really did change myself to fit what other people thought that I should be. I've been there. Like I really truly have. And asking questions of others and talking to other people about what I want, I've done it and I still continue to do it. But I now have a place to go. I now have a place to go put my thoughts. So when someone comes to me and has some input about a decision that I'm making, I'm able to now go to my journal and really, really think about, do I agree with what that person just told me? Or am I allowing what that person told me to become me? Because I've gotten peer pressured before into life-changing things, okay? When I was in college the second time around, I got peer pressure to change the diploma program that I was in from a 2-year to a 3-year so that I could go to university. I remember the distinct moment when we were all sitting in my friend's living room deciding what courses we were going to take, like the course load for the next year or the next semester. I think it was the second semester. Yeah. And we were all deciding on the courses. And she was like, you need to get a degree because if you don't have a degree, you couldn't possibly do anything with this program. It's not what I desired. I didn't have any desire to go to university. I had no desire to do any more work. And in fact, I think that 2 years is actually my cutoff point for any type of school. It's like my special brand of ADHD, I like to call it, that can handle schooling for 2 years. I don't think I could do more than 2. I'm not the late stage diagnosed ADHD who is like always in school or a high performer. I skirted by, had pretty decent grades, didn't really ever study or crammed at the last moment. That's the kind of ADHD I am. But if I had journaling in that moment, I could have journaled. I could have journaled about deciding to change the program that I was going for and instead realized that, hey, Katie, you chose the 2-year for a reason. You didn't want to go to university. That was not your choice. That was not your plan. That's not what you wanted to do. And I'm so happy that I have journaling now. because if I'm ever in that predicament again, there's no way in hell or high water that I am going to change my major to something someone else deems necessary for my success. And I feel like we think we know ourselves, and then the smallest input makes us change our minds. That's what I'm trying to share in regards to this story, is because I thought I knew myself. I thought, oh yeah, this makes total sense, but it didn't. It didn't. And I needed that re-examination. And when you're asking people and you're talking to people, that sounding board that you have of people that you ask their opinion of, they always have something to say back. And even if you say you're just venting, they're going to have something to say some people. Some people will ask first, and some people won't. But I use my journal as that place to talk to myself. And I think that in that moment, if I had had my journal, I would have written out, do I really want to go to a 3-year program? Why did I choose this 2-year program? Was there a reason for it? Oh yeah, Katie, you knew yourself back. The first time I went to college, I legitimately chose programs that were 2 years or less for this specific reason, because I knew myself. I knew that the only reason why I completed high school was because you had to, quote unquote. Technically didn't have to, because of course GEDs are available here in Canada as well. But I thought it was the only option. And, my mother told me it's the only option. So that's what I did. I went to high school and I finished high school. But I think that if that wasn't my reality, I don't necessarily know if I would have finished, because it was just so long. So I knew myself. And if I had a place that didn't speak back to me and let me brain dump to get to the true answers within myself, I don't think I would have made that choice. I think I would have realized, no, you know yourself more than other people know yourself. And if you can't get a job after a 2-year diploma, is this really a trajectory that you should continue down? And maybe I would have stopped a little sooner. Who knows? Who really knows? Nobody knows, because that's a different life. That's a different timeline, Katie. And I use journaling as a way to find myself. And you can too, because I feel like we all kind of follow the same roles in society. You got to go to college or university. You got to get your dream job. You got to get married. You got to get a car. You got to get a house. And now you have to have kids. But do you really? And that's what I've been using journaling for, is to really decide, like, do I want these things? Because journaling alone helped me realize that I do not want children. I just don't. I'm child-free by choice. It's how I see my life. I don't see my future with children. I see my future with lots of animal babies, but I don't see my future with human babies. Just not how I see my future. And journaling over the past couple years has really, really let that sink in for me. It even helped me realize that I wanted to go back to a previous role that I had already had in animal health care, because I feel like someone else convinced me that I wanted to go to business school. I didn't. What sort of happened, I think I talk a little bit more about it in another video that I'll link up in the cards here. But something happened where I left animal care not on my own terms. And then I started a job that just kind of fell in my lap, which was in the, administrative field. And so then I thought, oh, I should go to school. Why? I had experience. It doesn't make any sense. And someone else kind of convinced me that I needed to go to school. And I really, truly didn't. We win some and we lose some. It's okay. I've come to the conclusion that it's okay. But yeah, I decided to enter the veterinary school, like the veterinary world, on my own and with my own choices and not someone else's. And I'm so happy that journaling has brought it back to me, that I'm deciding again to go back into the veterinary field on my own. And I will use journaling to determine my next steps after this, because I'm going back to decide if I want to make a career out of it. And of course, I'm still going to have this podcast because I love this space. It's my creative place. It's where my creative brain likes to live, because there's not so much creativity in healthcare, even of the animal kind. But I think, and I know that I can come back to journaling a couple years down the road to decide whether I want to go full force in that. And I think that journaling would be considered a self-development tool, but I myself would consider it a life tool, because a simple brain dump, writing or voice noting all of your issues, that are clogging up in your brain. Now they're on the paper or they're recorded, and you can read or listen to them back, and you're able to dig a little deeper into the behind the feelings, into why I'm feeling this way or why I'm deciding this thing, or do I actually want to do this with my life? And I think that a lot of people come back to this too late or very late in their 40s and their 50s, and they're realizing I took a road that didn't make sense for me, and I don't want to be that person. I'm 33 with the possibility of going back to school. I already am technically that person, but also not that person at the same time. And by answering prompts, sometimes you never actually realized what was there to be uncovered. Maybe the prompt is about your perfectionism when it comes to showing up online. But then you realize that perfectionism is also affecting your relationship with your friends, thinking that you can't break down because you have to show up to them with zero weakness in your perfect form because you're the one that's put together. And you realize perfectionism is stopping you from creating an even deeper connection with your friends. It's happened to me, something along those lines, where I've been digging deeper into a certain topic and realized that it affects a completely different area of my life. Life changing. Maybe when you commit to gratitude on the pages, or even just reframing your thoughts in a different way, you're able to see what is going well in your life, even when it feels like every single thing in your life is falling apart. Because when I was looking for a job, I was able to acknowledge that, yes, I want this business to work out. I really, truly do. And on top of that, I want my podcast to grow. But right now, I need a little extra income, and that's okay, to help support me financially. And this job is the way to get there, because podcasts take time to grow, right? And I found all of that out by being grateful and reframing my thoughts. And I came to terms with the fact that I needed a job by gratitude. Maybe cliche to say, but it's my reality. It was actually back in May when I finally decided that a job was necessary for me, and that building this VA business that I once had. And I started working on it on March 1st of 2024, and it just was not for me. It was someone else's version of what I wanted to do with my life, and I was finally done with it. I was finally like, get me out of here. This is not what I want to do. When I talk to other VAs online, they're like, I love this work. It's so amazing. And I want to puke. It's not fun for me. I don't love being behind the desk, being behind a computer. And even when people pay me, I don't want to do the work, which is a signal, which is a glaring signal that it is not the way. But I work better with experiences. I prefer to experience the thing that I think that I want to do, and then realize that I don't want to do it, and then make another choice. I'm an experiential gal. So that was in May. And then in the beginning of June, I decided that I was going to start telling people that I was looking for a job, because why not? And I'm surrounded by some really amazing people. And so when I tell people like I'm looking for a job, they're like, what industry? Because they're thinking, okay, can I refer her to someone? The best people surround me, really and truly the best people surround me. And I was at a family reunion in the beginning of June, and I was talking about possible industries that I wanted to get into. And then I don't even know what happened, but something clicked. And then I was like, oh, maybe I could go back to animal care, which is so wild because I hadn't even been thinking about that path. I was like, I'm going to work in retail because I don't have to think, and I can just do and show up and work extra hours if need be. I don't know. I hadn't really put a lot of thought into it. I knew that I liked that before. I really enjoyed being a supervisor in customer service. Loved it. So I thought maybe I could go back to that. But animal care was the answer, I guess, for me, because like the next morning, I obviously sat with my journal like I always do and thought about all the possibilities and whether or not it was a viable option. And though I do have experience in animal care, it's from 2012. I feel like I'm dating myself now. And I do have a certification in animal care. Like I went to school for 8 months straight and learned a lot of things about animal care and about that kind of place. But again, it's from like I think the beginning of 2012, because I went to school for 8 months straight. And then a month out of graduating, I got a job. Again, following that trajectory. Ultimately, I decided on the pages that in this job market where I'm competing with students for retail jobs, that little tidbit actually came from my partner, not from me. He was like, you're going to be competing with a lot of students. And I thought, oh God, I am, aren't I? But there's far less competition when it comes to ACA jobs, because I think that the only real students that I was competing with, or that I'd have to, I guess, worry about, are animal adjacent educations. That's it. The person I'm actually taking over her job for, she's in school for something like wildlife habilitation or something like that, or research or science or something along those lines, but it's like animal adjacent. So it kind of makes sense, but I'm taking over for her role. And also, like, why not niche down, as one would say in business terms, and give it a go? And so I did. And I landed a job. Yes, you heard that right. In 50 days, like from application to my offer email, it was 15 days. And if you look at like application to start date, it'll be just over 30 in this economy. I sent the application on July 2nd. Then we did a phone interview the next week. Then I went in to talk to everybody, and I do well in in-person interviews. I just do. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I'm just good at in-person interviews. And then I got the offer letter on the 17th, which is crazy, which is so crazy. Because in this economy, right? But I guess I just believed. That I could find it. And based on past history, I've always found a job within a month of looking, every single time, in every single economic climate. For some reason, that's just what happens for me. And that's now, specifically in 2025, when so many people are having a hard time, I know that this is a fact and a belief about myself. Because even in the hardest times, I was able to. So I know that if you're struggling out there, you will find something. It will show up for you. I was going to say, ask me for help on your resume, but please don't. Simple is better than overcomplicated. Less is better than more. Keep it to one page, keep it readable, and show up as yourself. How amazing you are. Show some personality. Don't just read off of lines on a sheet of paper for the answers to your questions. Oh, also, in the interview, I told stories about my experience. And with that, I want to conclude that without the help of my journal, I don't think that I would have taken this new path so seriously as I am right now. And without journaling, I wouldn't even have been able to come to terms with the fact that I was deciding on this different future for myself, because I had thought that I was going to be solely a business owner for this whole entire time for many years. And now I'm deciding something different. And I just truly don't think that this reality would have been available to my brain without the help of journaling. And this next move that I'm stepping into might even be an even better and brighter future. I don't know. But it is talking that out with myself, I think, is the only way that I was able to take action and stop spiraling and overthinking in my head, because I too am an overthinker. But between brain dumping and answering prompts and having gratitude in my journal, there's absolutely a way to get to knowing who you are and knowing what decisions best suit who you are as a person. That's it for this episode of Abundantly Aware. Remember that if you haven't yet, you can join the waitlist for the first page, which is my self-paced journaling program aimed at overthinkers who need a substitute for the artist's way that they can actually finish. That's in big bold letters, actually finish. And the link to that is going to be in the description down below. If you journal before, I would love for you to let me know the transformation that you've personally experienced with the help of your journal. And until next time, let's become abundantly aware together. Bye.